Welcome to another Symbaroum recap. We're jumping right into things. The session began with a flashback for Seldar to the day known as Seldar's Folly. This is at the crux of the story, the event that caused the schism in Karohar clan, so we needed a bulkier flashback to cover things. Long story short, there was a trial, the which the keeper, Rosemary, brought forth 4 barbarians, 2 witnesses, an aggrieved party, and a murderer. A father who had killed one of Seldar's men, Sergeant Cork, to avenge what was done to his witch daughter. We don't have time to get into all of that, but one thing that I did do as a DM to involve the other 4 players, because I knew this was going to be a longer sequence, was to let them play the NPCs. I handed out these cards and let them pick who they were playing based entirely on the name and a brief description. When they flipped the cards over, they saw that they had stat blocks straight from the core rulebook, and they had a couple lines describing their motivation and a couple questions. This was fun and it allowed everybody to be a part of the scene, and I do recommend this as a trick if you have to do a flashback like this or even a split party scenario. Just instead of you as the DM playing 5 or 6 NPCs in the town, give it to your players. I guarantee they'll have fun with it. Anyway, this was meant to show somehow what Seldar did or what was done to Seldar to cause this terrible event, and the story took on a tragic beat because this is Seldar's fault. Everything ended when axes were drawn and Seldar shoved a young witch, an innocent young witch, out a window. We cut the scene there because the fight that followed was not important, but we can begin to connect the dots to see how this broke a potential treaty. It put Rosemary in a distrustful light and would lead to the exile of Gadramon and Magnolia. When we cut back to the present day, Seldar is alone and in a massive hangover from a result of Krim's drugs that were forced upon him. He has a map to the watchtower, which he fails to read and instead stumbles into a cave and a hot spring. What does Seldar do? He ignores the cave, he strips down all his armor and weapons, and takes a nice soak in the hot spring, just as 3 group living trolls arrive. Seldar hides, and then has a funny little moment where he decides to rise up from the waters like a ghillie suit Jesus to get the trolls to worship him. It works for a few seconds, and in that few seconds, as the trolls are bowing and closing their eyes, Seldar runs away. The trolls quickly catch wind that this is no old god of the forest, but rather a naked human, and so they give chase right to the watchtower where our party waits. So we have another combat scene at the tower, but this time the positions are switched. The players are the ones defending the fort. The group living trolls do break in, things do start to go bad, although the group does get lucky when Mira and Bruth are able to fire the ballista back down at the trolls. Harkin is also able to help. He finishes off one wounded troll before getting cut in half by the door that the trolls broke through. But before he died, he was able to yell to Gadramon that there is a nearby village he can go to for allies. Magnolia was desperate. She grabbed the breaching pot from last time and blew it up, which damaged not only the 2 trolls, but Seldar and Krim. So things are not looking the best, although Magnolia did set fire to the 2 trolls, which stopped their regeneration, which may have just won the fight and prevented a TPK. Anyway, Gadramon looks down from the tower as he's shooting his own arrows, and he calls for the retreat. This signals Seldar, who has been fighting naked with only a spear, to look back at the retreating Gadramon and say audibly, "You are no king." This is when Gadramon instead turns around, flanks the troll Seldar is fighting, and destroys him. Or rather, it was Magnolia who got 2 kill shots on the last 2 trolls. It was a nice big fight. There was a lot of threat, but the players pulled through. My critique for this week doesn't actually come from me, it comes from one of our characters. At the end of the fight, while everybody else is celebrating, Mira comes out and gets emotional and says this entire day has been filled with death and chaos, and we are no closer to our supposed group goal of getting to Malima and slaying this white witch. What was all of this for? And I get that. The 3 group living trolls encounter in particular was basically a wandering monster that didn't really progress the plot. However, I do think that everything that happened at the Rangers Tower in these past 2 sessions went to improve the bond between our 5-player characters. But just as they are becoming united as a fighting force, we are also seeing the contrast in the way they handle things, and there's character development, but character development doesn't mean positive growth. Take Gadramon, who did call the retreat, and has mentioned multiple times at this point his willingness to kill his own father if things come to it. You've got Seldar, who is a braggart and straight up a bigot, viewing the barbarians and witches as things more than people. You've got Magnolia, who is sweet and loving, but continues to emphasize the Mortal Kombat fatalities she's going to induce on anyone who has harmed Rosemary. You've got Mira, who is in it for herself and always has been and doesn't like putting up with the rest of the party's motivations. And then you've got Krim, who didn't turn around like Gadramon when he fled. He straight up ran, got distracted by something in the forest, and continued running away from the party. And he ends the session taking his own drug the same way Seldar did, so that he can induce some sort of vision. That vision might guide the party in the session to come, and it might not be in the direction they wanted to go originally, but he is their guide. He kind of holds the cards here. So, what is next? We're at a decision point. The party has to choose their path, and I'm pretty prepared for whichever direction they go. Although this is a role playing game, and unlike a game where you have 4 options of the path to take, this one there is always an unspoken 5th option of whatever the hell you want to do. But here's how I see it. The party can, as somebody suggested, take a 14-mile backtrack to where they left the Abor. Kershai's barbarians sent out smoke signals so that another hunting party could come in and harvest the meat and hide. This might give them some extra info on their enemies and another way into Malima, but it sets them back. They could take Harkin's call to go to the village of Greytooth. This is a lateral move that doesn't bring them closer to Malima, but could gain them direct allies if they want to somehow assault the city. They could follow wherever Krim is going. Someone was leaving breadcrumbs for him. And let's see, we also have going back to the hot spring and the troll cave so that Seldar can actually get all his gear back and stop being a naked spear fighter. And finally, they could ignore all of this and ask Krim to take them on the most direct path to get to Malima and get this job done for the sake of Karohar. What will the party choose? I don't know yet. And that's just the fun of playing a tabletop role-playing game. I'm interested in seeing where you guys think the party should go, who your favorite character is right now, and what's another good question? What do you think the alignment of the party would be if we were playing D&D? That's all for this week. You guys have a nat one day. Bye-bye.